There's a piece of pipe sitting on my workbench right now. About 10 inches of 2-inch PVC cut out of a kitchen line in a house built in 1998. I keep it around because it makes the argument better than I can. Tip it up and look down the open end. The inside is not black, and it is not clear. It is a dull gray plug, hard as a hockey puck, filling about 80% of that pipe. You could tap it with a screwdriver and it would ring back at you. That is not grease. That is not hair. That is what gets left behind when somebody pours a caustic drain opener down a sink 4 times in one winter and it never once clears the line. That homeowner spent about $50 on bottles. Then he spent $640 on me and a helper, opening a wall and replacing a section of pipe. And the thing that would have actually fixed his drain back in week 1 was sitting in the laundry aisle the entire time, $4 a box. He walked past it every single trip. I have been on the tools a little over 30 years. My Uncle Ray got me started, and Ray had a rule about drain chemicals I did not really understand until I was about 25. He said, "If it can eat the clog, it can eat the pipe, and the pipe does not grow back." So today, I am walking you through what is actually in that bottle you keep buying, what it does inside your drain, and the $1 powder that does the job better without cooking your plumbing. Number 7 is where the chemistry finally makes plain sense. Number 12 is the safety rule folks break the most, usually about 10 minutes before they call me. Let us get into it. Number 1. What you are actually buying. Pick up a bottle of the thick blue stuff and read the back panel. Sodium hydroxide, that is, lye. Same family of chemical they use to strip paint and make soap. In the crystal versions, you also get aluminum shavings mixed in. Little bright flakes, and those are not there to scrub anything. Here is the trick the label does not explain. When lye hits water, it gives off heat all on its own. Add aluminum to that, and you get a second reaction, throwing off hydrogen gas and a whole lot more heat. That is the fizzing and bubbling you hear through the sink cabinet. People hear that noise and think the product is working hard. What you are actually hearing is a small chemical heater running inside your drain line. The pitch is that the heat and the caustic together will melt through whatever is stuck. And in fairness, lye does chew up grease and it does chew up organic matter. Nobody is telling you it does nothing. The problem is that a drain line is not a beaker on a lab bench. It is a fixed piece of your house with glued joints and slip washers and, if you are lucky, 40 more years of service left in it. You just poured a heater into it. And that heat has to go somewhere, which brings me to number 2. Number 2, what that heat does to your pipe. Modern drain lines in most homes are PVC or ABS. Good material, cheap, easy to work with, lasts a long time. But plastic pipe does not love heat, and the weak spot is never the middle of a straight run. It is the joints. Those joints are chemically welded with solvent cement. Heat one up over and over, and the plastic right at the fitting softens, relaxes, and takes on a little stress every time. You will not see it fail on the 4th bottle. You will see it 2 years later as a slow weep inside a cabinet, or a stain on a ceiling below a bathroom, and nobody ever connects that back to the drain opener. Older houses have a different problem. If you have got galvanized steel or old cast iron down there, hot caustic attacks it directly. Galvanized is already scaling shut from the inside by year 50. Lye speeds that right along. And porcelain. If that product sits in a toilet bowl or backs up into a sink basin, it etches the glaze. The finish goes dull and slightly rough, and once the glaze is roughed up, That fixture stains faster forever after. It never comes back. So it is not just the clog you are gambling with. It is the pipe. And here is the part that stings, because most of the time it does not even clear the clog. That is number 3. Number 3, the first way it fails, and it fails quiet. Go look at what is actually stopping up your bathroom sink or your shower. 9 times out of 10, it is a hair mat. Hair, soap scum, skin oils, toothpaste, all felted together into a mass sitting on the tailpiece or hung up in the trap. Now picture pouring a thick gel down onto that. It does not spread out and dissolve the whole mat evenly. It follows the path of least resistance, straight down the middle, and it eats out the grease binding right where it is flowing. In 20 minutes, you have got a channel the size of a pencil bored through the center of that mat. You run the water, it drains. You feel pretty good about your $10. But the mat is still there. All of it. All you did was put a straw through the middle of it. So the mat starts catching again immediately. And within 2 or 3 weeks, you are slow again. And you go buy another bottle because, hey, it worked last time. That is not a fix. That is a subscription, and you signed up for it without reading anything. Now, that is the polite failure. There is a second way these products fail that is a whole lot uglier, and that is number 4. Number 4, the plug. Back to that chunk of pipe on my bench. Here is how you make one. You pour caustic into a line that is fully blocked, so the product cannot drain away. It sits there in standing water on top of a clog. It reacts. It heats. It partly dissolves grease and soap, and then it cools. Meanwhile, the caustic has reacted with the fats already in the line and made actual soap, hard soap, plus whatever mineral scale it knocked loose off the pipe walls. All of that cools together and sets up into a dense gray mass. That is the Drano plug, and I promise you it is worse than what you started with. The original clog was soft. A plunger might have moved it. A little hand auger definitely would have. The new one is not soft. It does not respond to a plunger because there is no give to push against. A cable can sometimes chip at it, but often it just spins a hole through the center and packs the rest harder against the wall. I have cut that plug out of kitchen lines, laundry standpipes, and one basement floor drain that took the better part of an afternoon. And that is when the phone rings and I show up. Which is a conversation worth having, and that is number 5. Quick word before number 5. If this is the kind of thing you want more of, hit subscribe on the Vintage Pipefitter. Every week I put up one real repair, the kind of fix I would do in my own house, and I show you where the money goes, so you can keep it. That is the whole ask. Costs you nothing. Takes a second. Number 5. Why the plumber charges you more. When I open a sink cabinet and there is a bottle of caustic drain opener sitting under there, or a sink full of standing water that smells sharp, my whole job changes. Because now I am not working with dirty water. I am working with a basin of dilute lye. Running a cable through, that means it comes back out wet, spinning and slinging. Caustic in your eye is an emergency room trip. Caustic on your forearm feels like nothing for about a minute. And then it does not. Ask me how I know. So the work slows down. Face shield, long gauntlet gloves, sleeves, drop cloths. And usually I am bailing that basin out into a bucket by hand before I put a tool anywhere near it and hauling it off for proper disposal. That is real time and real risk, and a lot of shops price for it. Some add a flat surcharge. Some just quote the job higher when you mention what you poured. So the $10 bottle that did not work can add a good chunk to the bill for the guy who has to come clean up after it. Which brings us to what this habit really costs. Number 6. Run the actual math. Let us be honest about the cycle, because the cycle is the product. A bottle runs you $10 to $15. You pour it. Maybe it opens a channel and you get a couple of good weeks. The walls of that pipe are still coated. The mat is still hung up in there. So it slows down again and you buy another bottle. Call it 3 or 4 bottles a year in a normal house with normal hair and normal cooking grease. That is $40 to $60 a year, every year, to not solve a problem. Now stack on the far end of it. Repeated caustic use on aging pipe eventually gets you a leak at a joint or a section that has to come out. Opening a wall or a ceiling, cutting and replacing a run of drain line, patching behind it, that is $500 and up in most markets. And the alternative sits in the laundry aisle for $4 or $5 a box. And a box gives you somewhere around 15 or 20 treatments. That is under $1 a shot. So let me finally tell you what the powder is. Number 7. Washing soda and why it is different. Washing soda. Sodium carbonate. It comes in a yellow box in the laundry aisle, right near the borax, and it has been sold for over 100 years as a laundry booster and water softener. $4 to $5, and the box is big. Do not confuse it with baking soda. That is sodium bicarbonate, a different compound, and it is far too mild to do this job. Stick with the washing soda box. Here is the important number. Washing soda comes in around a pH of 11 in solution. That is strongly alkaline, plenty strong to break down fats. Lye is up around 13 or 14, and because the pH scale runs by powers of 10, that is not a little stronger, it is hundreds of times stronger. That gap is exactly the point. Washing soda is strong enough to do the work on grease and soap scum. It is not strong enough to cook a joint, etch your porcelain, or turn your sink into a chemical hazard. It generates essentially no heat when it goes in. It is safe for septic systems because it does not wipe out the bacteria colony the way a caustic dose does. And if it splashes on your hand, you rinse it and go about your day. Milder and still effective. That sounds like a contradiction until you understand the mechanism, and that is number 8. Number 8, it does not burn the clog. It converts it. This is the part that made it click for me, and once you have got it, you will never look at drain cleaning the same way. Kitchen clogs and a big share of bathroom clogs are held together by fat. Cooking grease, body oils, the fatty base in soap. Fat is what glues everything else into a solid mass. When alkaline washing soda solution sits against fat, it does something called saponification. It converts that fat into soap. Not soap-flavored, actual soap, which is water-soluble by definition. So the glue holding your clog together stops being glue and starts being something that rinses away. That is why the dwell time matters more than the strength here. Caustic tries to blast a hole through fast and hot. Washing soda sits there and quietly turns the binder into something that washes down the drain. Slower and far more complete, because it is working on the whole surface it is in contact with instead of boring one channel. And while I am here, let me kill a myth. Baking soda and vinegar does not clear a drain. An acid and a base cancel each other out and give you fizz and salt water. It is a fun volcano, and it is a terrible drain treatment. You want the alkaline to stay alkaline. So here is how you actually run it. Number 9, the pour and the chase. Simple job, 5 minutes of your time. Start with the drain as empty as you can get it. If there is standing water in the sink, bail it out with a cup into a bucket. The treatment needs to reach the clog, not float on top of 6 inches of dishwater. If it is a bathroom sink or a tub, pull the stopper and clear the obvious hair off it first. Do that by hand with a glove on, or with a cheap plastic zip strip tool. Do not skip this. Every bit of mat you physically remove is work the powder does not have to do. Now measure out 1 cup of washing soda and pour it straight down the drain, not sprinkled around the basin. Down the opening. Then the chase. About 2 quarts of hot tap water poured slow and steady right on top of it. Hot tap water, not boiling. I want to be clear on that one, because the internet loves telling folks to dump a boiling kettle down the sink. On PVC that is asking for a softened joint, and on a porcelain fixture with a cold basin it is asking for a crack. Hottest your tap gives you is exactly right. The pour is the easy half. The waiting is where the work happens. Number 10. Number 10. Let it sit, then flush it. Once that hot water chase is in, walk away. Best time to do this is the last thing at night, after the last dish is washed and the last shower is done. You want that solution sitting undisturbed against the clog for 6 to 8 hours. Overnight is perfect. Tell the household, if somebody rinses a coffee cup at 11 at night, they have just diluted your treatment and washed it past the clog. In the morning, flush it with hot tap water. Run it a good 3 to 5 minutes, full open. You are not just testing the drain here. You are carrying out everything the powder loosened overnight. A weak little trickle for 30 seconds leaves that debris sitting in the horizontal run to resettle somewhere else. On a moderate slow drain, 1 treatment usually does it. On a bad one, or one that has been slow for a year, run it a second night in a row, sometimes a third. It is $1. You can afford to be patient with it, and patient is exactly what this method rewards. Now, the real win is never getting slow in the first place, and that is number 11. Number 11. Make it a monthly habit. Here is what 30 years teaches you. Nobody calls a plumber about a fast drain. They call about a drain that has been getting a little slower for 8 months while everybody ignored it. So put this on a schedule, and the whole problem mostly stops existing. Once a month, half a cup of washing soda down each problem drain, hot water chase, let it sit overnight. Kitchen sink for sure, because that is where the grease goes. Your main bathroom sink and the tub or shower you use most. Laundry standpipe if you have got one, since detergent scum builds in there too. Pick a night you will remember. First of the month or the night before, trash day. At $1 a treatment on the full cup, you are looking at maybe $6 or $8 a year to keep the drains in a whole house flowing right. Compare that with $40 or $60 a year on bottles that do not fix it and slowly damage the pipe while they fail. Before you go pour anything, though, there are 3 rules you need to hear. Number 12. Number 12. The 3 safety rules. First, wear gloves. Washing soda is far gentler than lye, but it is still alkaline and it will dry your skin out and irritate a cut. Cheap nitrile gloves and keep the powder out of your eyes when you pour, because the dust travels. Second, and this is the big one, never put washing soda or anything else into a drain that already has a caustic product standing in it. If you poured a bottle of drain opener last week and that water is still sitting there, that basin is a chemical hazard and you do not add to it. Bail it out with a cup into a bucket, wearing gloves and eye protection. Seal it up and check your local rules for disposal. Rinse the basin well, only then do you start fresh. Mixing household chemicals in a closed drain line is how people get hurt in their own kitchens. Third, no vinegar chaser. I said it earlier, and I will say it again because folks do it anyway. Acid on top of your alkaline treatment neutralizes the exact thing that was doing the work. You get bubbles and a dead treatment. Leave it alone and let it do its job. That is the full method. End subscribe CTA. Thank you for staying with me all the way through. If you got something useful out of this one, subscribing to the Vintage Pipefitter is how you keep it coming. New walkthrough every week, always a repair you can do yourself. Always the version a tradesman would actually use at home. 30 years of it, free, and I am glad to have you here. Bonus tip. One more thing, because I promised you a payoff. If it is 9 at night and your drain is slow and you do not feel like driving to the store, you can make washing soda in your own kitchen. Right now, out of the baking soda you already have. Spread a cup or two of baking soda in a thin layer on a sheet pan. Oven at 400 degrees. Leave it in for about an hour. Stir it once or twice. What comes out is not baking soda anymore. The heat drives off water and carbon dioxide and converts sodium bicarbonate into sodium carbonate. That is washing soda, chemically the same as the box. You can see it happen. It goes from a fine, dense powder that clumps into a duller, grainier, more chalky powder that pours loose. Let it cool completely and store it in a sealed jar because it will pull moisture back out of the air. Uncle Ray showed me that one on a Sunday when everything was closed, and I have never forgotten it. A box of baking soda and an hour of oven time, and you have got a real drain treatment for pocket change. Go take care of that sink. I will see you next week.